many times I have shot myself in the foot. And this is a case in which I've tried my best, as I was talking to Assemblyman David Chu in the mayor yesterday, in which I've tried to shoot my foot clean off. Because, in my experience, there is never, ever a good time to propose an administrative salary increase. Never. Okay? So my timing is not good. However, this is the best time.
Many budget and audit committee meetings, September 19th, 2019. Thank you to the administrators and staff who are here, and thank you to the entire public who's present in the room. In any relationship, I think trust is probably the #1 requirement, and the trust between the administrators and the rest of the college community has been damaged. I just want to acknowledge that. I also want to state that, we can't do anything about what happened prior, but what we can do is make sure that there are structures and checks and balances put into place so that things like this salary schedule change is done publicly, transparently, and only after a full and robust discussion. One of the things that I intend to ask my committee members to support today, and let me just put it on the table because let's not waste time. We have 2 hours to get this done, which is to have an independent analysis performed, a survey done of whether or not the salary schedule that has been proposed is reasonable, is necessary, and whether or not it's fiscally feasible. Nothing is going to happen with any salary schedules until that's done. At least that is the recommendation that I will be putting forward today. So let's have the discussion, and then we will have public comment. But please just keep in mind, we have 2 hours today to get this work done, and also to have the presentation about what kind of additional assistance this board and analysis this board should have in a consistent way in order to make sure that there are structures in place to try and actually repair that relationship. Thank you. Do you want to say anything, John?
Well, I think proceeding in a logical, fact-based manner is the way to go. I just want to clarify the record. There was no vote. The Board of Trustees has not yet approved salary increases, and there was no secret vote. There was no secret negotiation. I've seen that on flying around email, and we are starting this process today, and we'll be continuing. And I support the chair's suggestion to create a fact-based process to help the board make a decision on this issue.
Thank you. Chancellor?
Yes, thank you, Trustee Lee. Okay, I will, because our time is limited, I'll be brief. I do not intend to go through the name-by-name recommendations, but I will move through a general explanation of the process that got us here and the general recommendation, and then the committee will move forward as it sees fit. First of all, I do want to say that many times I have shot myself in the foot, and this is a case in which I've tried my best, as I was talking to Assemblyman David Chu in the mayor yesterday, in which I've tried to shoot my foot clean off. Because, in my experience, there is never, ever a good time to propose an administrative salary increase. Never. Okay? So my timing is not good. However, this is the best time. And it's the best time because I brought the recommendation forward to the board because last year we lost 19 administrators, many of whom left voluntarily. And we need to replace those administrators, some, not all. An IT, Vice Chancellor, a Chief Business Officer, a Vice Chancellor of Student Development. So I brought forward the recommendations, the salary schedule, first step, and the recommendations today in an effort to do what is best for the college, to put in place an administration that the board can hold accountable for its goals, because the board holds only the administration accountable for its goals. So I just wanted to say that. Second, as to the process, so we must hire. We have open positions now. And so we need to resolve this situation in order to move forward. The second thing, as far as the process is concerned, it is a two-step process. Trustee Rizzo is absolutely right. The board has adopted the final budget for 2019-2020. And in that budget, the board approved the salary schedules that are in the budget, not just for the administrators, but for every single employee. The board, in sunlight, can rescind any or all of those schedules. But that was the first step, and the second step, according to board policy, is that the Chancellor uses those schedules in order to make the salary placements, which I'm about to do right now. Okay, so if I could ask Angela to go to the document that says info for September. There you go. Okay. So first of all of these documents are available to all my colleagues and all of the public. This, without going through it name by name, is the actual recommendation that that I will bring forward to the Board of Trustees on September 26th, based on the salary schedule that was approved on August 22nd. So you can see it there. I won't go through it. This may be a somewhat familiar document right now, and makes the case name by name, line by line. It lists the calendar year earnings for last year. It lists the base salary for this year, and it lists the data that is conducted by the Association of California Community College Association, the high comparative data. So, so that's that. I would say in, okay, and if we can go just quickly to the document that is SCM, okay. This is a historical salary comparison of since over the last 11 years of the salaries for classified faculty administrators. None of these salaries are enough for any category, but the classified staff over the years has, over that same period, their salaries have increased 34%. Classified staff salaries are not high enough. We are involved in very good negotiations with SEIU right now to, based on a class comp study that will increase classified salaries still more. And in faculty, you can see the average salary over the years, since 2007, 2008, we've gone up 29%. And you see administrators, the average salary for an administrator is $142,291. That's a fact. And that salary has gone up 5% since 2007, 2008, which is essentially going backwards. So that's the final one there. Then I'll finish up, let's see. I lost my track there. Okay, so if we can go back, okay, to the document Angela, that says the official college statement. And if you can roll down, Angela, a little bit, okay. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay, keep going. Okay, all right. Okay, in the paragraph, finally, it has been objected fairly so that if the administrative salary increase, which comes to $580,000 increase in the budget, of employee salary increases of almost $5.8 million for next year, if the administrative salary increase was removed, as clearly the board could do, that money would go to restore class cuts. Okay, I want to make clear that it would not be my recommendation, although I would be perfectly open to putting all the salaries on the table so that we could discuss the class schedule. But here's why. It's fair for anyone to make a case that the restoration of the class cuts must come before any salary increases. That's a fair case. The class cuts have indeed been painful and can't be softened by the fiduciary requirement of the board to balance the budget. But the case for this priority must be made in the open in a fair-minded discussion alongside other long-standing and pressing spending priorities, such as the need to renovate our facilities, the need to overhaul our IT system, the need to upgrade our safety, security, and emergency preparedness, the need to hire a diverse faculty and staff, the need to invest in enrollment growth and marketing of Free City, and the need to fund such other student support items as transportation passes, housing, and expanded childcare. These and other items will cost many millions, and this cost must be borne sooner or later. So I think the recommendation, consistent recommendation of the administration is to continue to reallocate priorities so that more available funds are going to the items that I just mentioned. And so with that, I will, that's my presentation as an introduction, and as I said, this will be the one that I bring forward to the Board of Trustees next week.
Thank you, Chancellor. So what I'd like to recommend that the Budget Committee do is to take the full recommendation and proposed recommendations from you, Chancellor, and to bring on board an independent financial analyst to take a look at the proposal, to take a look at the recommendations, and to take a look at what are comparable salaries as far as base pay as well as total compensation. Take a look at the detailed job descriptions for each administrative position so that they can accurately assess which ones are comparable. And also to have some context as far as cost of living. I mean, San Francisco is just, it is unique. And so I think whatever the analysis is, it has to be done in reality and not in, in theory. So my recommendation is that we move to the board a recommendation to bring on board that independent analyst that I think that we have been talking about. I know that I have been talking about this for over a year now, that we need to have that person on board. So I think this is a paradigm example of why, and I think that the quicker we can do that, the better, and have the independent analyst report back to the board what their analysis finds and what their recommendations might be. Now, I want to be really clear that this discussion and this recommendation that I would like to move forward is not about the worth or value of our administrators. This is about whether or not we have sufficient administrative folks on our team to actually execute the priorities that the board has said we want to execute this year. If that team is insufficient, then we have to look at it. We need a student development person, right? I think no one would disagree with that. we also need our counselors back. We need things that have, I'm really sorry, I appreciate the response, but can we have 2 hours, that's why, so just maybe jazz hands or whatever the happy things are, okay. But we have a lot of needs. So I think what I would like this analysis to be able to provide to us is facts so that the board can actually come to the most responsible decision that we can make that addresses all of the myriad needs that the college has. So this is not, I really want to stress this to the administrators, this is not a judgment on your worth, but it is about transparency. And if we don't have that kind of transparency and rebuild a little bit of that trust, then I don't think that a lot of the important things that we need to do this year are going to be accomplished. So that's my recommendation, and I'm not sure how, do we move? We don't actually take a vote or anything, right?
Well,
We can recommend.
I would say we take a vote and take a vote to recommend to the board.
Okay.
But we would have to have public comment before any action.
Yeah. Well, so that's my recommendation. Let me sum that up because I know I kind of meandered a little bit. My recommendation is to bring on board an independent financial analyst to take a comprehensive look at the proposed salary schedule changes and provide us with a recommendation regarding whether or not the proposal is reasonable, whether it's fiscally feasible, and how we compare with similar institutions.
Well, I would second that, and pending public comment,
Okay. Okay.
reserve my vote for after public comment, but
Okay.
I'll second it as a motion to put it on the table.
Thank you, Trustee Rizzo. I'm going to open this up for public comment, and then we will move on, hopefully, to the actual vote. Are there folks that wanted to speak? I see Jenny Worley. Do you want to just, oh, okay, there. Do you want to go there?
Oh, sure. I'm a teacher, I can do that. I'm going to give my whole response. I do have a particular response to this motion at the end, but I'd like to just say my whole piece if that's okay right now. All right. Can I just ask that those who are here to oppose these raises and to stand with faculty and students, please stand right now. Thank you. The raises proposed would be shocking in any context, but at this moment, they're simply unacceptable. And what I mean by the context of this moment stretches back to last spring and beyond. But last spring, our administration presented you with a much reduced fall class schedule. All the classes whose enrollments hadn't previously reached 20 students had been eliminated. In addition, department chairs had been allocated lower budgets, forcing many departments to cut even popular classes with strong enrollment history. This was all justified in the name of budgetary necessity and enrollment management. The Chancellor told us the board passed a budget and directed me to adhere to that budget, and that we've done that. Fair enough. Then in July, the administration began canceling classes because of low enrollment, a full 6 weeks before the semester began. Why, we asked, if only classes with a history of enrolling 20 or more students had been scheduled? 2 weeks ago, we got our answer. One of our members called to advise me to have a look at the administrative salaries on the payroll website. Can I?
Sorry. Oh, you did, okay. How many do we have? Sorry, Jenny.
We're getting there as we speak.
If our public comment cards exceed, I'm gonna say 10, then we're gonna, keep everybody to a minute. If it's less than 10, then we'll give each speaker 2 minutes, okay?
Okay.
I'd like to cede my time to Jenny.
That's fine.
Thank you. A member called and told me to take a look at the administrative salaries on the payroll website. The old salary scales had been removed from the web, so we had to dig them up from last year's files. When we compared the two scales, everyone in our office passed them from one person to the other because each of us thought that our math was wrong. Nobody gets a $125,000 raise. Nobody gets a $50,000 raise. As my students would say, that ain't a thing. But our math wasn't wrong. Starting salaries for vice chancellors increased by $125,000. Every time I tell this story, I have to clarify, that's the raise, not the salary. And yes, we've been told since that no particular individual was classified at their particular place in the pay scale, and no particular employee got that raise. But some people did get $50,000 raises. That $50,000 could restore 4 classes. It could hire a counselor for students trying to figure out their pathway to a degree. It could keep the library reference desk open 8 hours instead of 4 hours. I want to be clear that we're not protesting about specific individuals, and I appreciate Trustee Lee mentioning this. We're not protesting about whether particular individuals deserve or don't deserve these raises. We recognize that many of our administrators have taken on a heavy load and are working hard for our students in our college. We recognize that Senior Vice Chancellor Gonzalez is a powerhouse, and in particular has taken on and managed ever-increasing responsibilities since joining us 18 months ago. We recognize that Senior Vice Chancellor Smith is waging a valiant uphill battle against years of deferred maintenance and doing much of the heavy lifting behind our upcoming facilities bond. We see this hard work and we respect it. At the same time, we know that these administrators work hard because they share the values we are here to defend: a rich and diverse curriculum, high-quality academic counseling, and excellent library services. One further note, we recognize that transparency is a concern here and that these raises were introduced in a less than open process, but we object to that lack of transparency. However, our primary concern is priorities and the use of resources and the values that these proposed use of resources indicate. Our budget is a statement of our values, and our financial decisions are a statement of values. For that reason, we value serving students, we value education. We must direct our resources into classrooms, counseling services, and libraries, because these are the frontline services that our students need to succeed, and these are the services that they deserve.
Thank you. Hey, Jenny, can you please wrap up?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just ask for our folks to stand one more time? I'd like to just read what we're asking of this committee. We're asking this committee to recommend the rejection of the proposed raises and the reallocation of these funds to recalling our laid-off counselors, restoring library services, and creating a robust spring schedule of classes for our students who depend on us for their educational futures.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to call the next 3 cards: Jess Nguyen, Vic Chung, and Constance Bonner.
Hi, my name is Jess Nguyen. I'm a student at City College, and I came here in 2018, so all I know of City College is under the administration of Mark Rocha. Unfortunately, I don't understand why students, one of the most important stakeholders at this school, were never sent the memo or the press release or anything, and yet in every single class that I've taken at City College, I've gotten that orange and white survey about if I receive public, aid or not. And it does not make sense that we hear things on the news and we don't even get things in our student inbox Why are we only showing the highs of all the data sets and not even the raw data? And we don't even see the low data where we can actually do the assessments ourselves. I used to work for a data analytics company. This is not true for us as students, as stakeholders. I have questions about the money management. I have questions about equity. If you want to actually see if equity services are being met, you have to do the math. That's why tech companies do it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Vic Chung. I'm a CCSF student, and I would like to ask, the reason behind the raises, right, is that the administration needs this money in order to do all the outreach, do all the things that they need to promise. Over the first 2 weeks, right before the summer schedule, right before fall started, I and a few volunteers worked for free, and we were helping students enroll and register for classes. We were doing it for free. And we recognized that there was registration suppression across the matriculation system, across the way that students are able to access resources. So, are these salaries actually going to assist students in registration? Are they actually going to help the school and the students who we should be prioritizing? And another thing that I'm really worried about is that the metrics that we use for the financial analysts, we have to be consulting the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Constance Connor, a computer science instructor and District 5 resident. So I voted for all the current members of the board who were up for election, and I'll be very disappointed if you raise administrative salaries. Last year you approved cuts in computer science, 20 plus sections we average at for census, 28 students, 560 students who were cut. Computer science in San Francisco in the 21st century. The result is huge wait list and students denied real job skills. I still get emails from students begging to add my classes. I want to know what the board's doing with our money. I voted for Proposition A. What did you do with that money? Now you ask me to vote for a bond. I'm telling all of my, for example, I live in a unit, a building of 7 units. I'm telling all of my neighbors not to vote for the, if we have an upcoming bond, because I just can't. If any of our board members have any political aspirations, I ask you to rethink administrator salary rates.
Thank you. Can we have the next three? Steve Zeltzer, Anita Martinez, and Jewel Ross.
Steve Zeltzer with United Public Workers for Action. This is not new that we have this crisis here at City College. This is planned and organized. I agree about examining their salaries, but it goes far beyond the salary increases to the executives. It should go to the misuse of bond money for new developments, for the privatization of Balboa Reservoir. That's money is being used, and the district attorney should be investigating this chancellor about where the misuse of money is going. The city of San Francisco and the residents pay millions of dollars to City College, and it happens to be going into the pockets of the developers. And this is a project that's been going on. Finally, the political malfeasance. Students and faculty have talked about the failure to maintain the bathrooms. How at this first university, first college in City College, we can't maintain the bathrooms at this college? And yet we're going to increase the salaries? This is the arrogance of this chancellor. And we need a vote of no confidence. He needs to be fired right now. Thank you.
Let's be civil, please. Thank you.
Thank you for saying that you're going to have somebody do an analysis of these costs. We as old-time AFTers, I was one of the first people who helped organize AFT, costed out our salary proposals. Our goal was to see the impact on the budget. Was there enough money in the unrestricted budget for raises? Right now and for the future? Enough money for raises for everyone else? Still enough money, as our first AFT president said, to put chalk in the classrooms. So I'm asking that your analysis include some of these elements. Long-term cost, post-retirement costs, and an analysis to see if city can still be able to put chalk in the classrooms. More precisely, how many more classes need to be cut to pay for the raises this year, next year, 10 years from now. I'm also asking you to consider the policy implications. Policy should be written, but it can be established through practice. We used to grieve on past practice. If these raises are approved in this time of budget constraint, the college, as embodied by you, may well be saying a new unwritten policy that what you most value is very well-paid administrative staff.
Thank you.
Not students.
Thank you, I'm
not
sorry,
faculty.
let's be
No.
fair. Everyone
I
has
gave
the same amount
35
of
years to
time.
City College, I'm gonna take another minute.
Thank you.
Not
I'm
differential,
happy
no,
to speak with
not
you
presentation.
after the meeting. Everyone receives the same
Administrators
1
deserve
minute.
raises. I would have liked to have them when I was an administrator, but when the budget is tight, or when there are.
If you want the
constraints,
rules to be applied fairly, you also have to agree to abide by
I am
them.
going to
It's
speak
1 minute per
15
person.
more seconds if you don't interrupt me. When the budget is tight, or other stakeholders are sacrificing, that is
I'm
not
gonna
the
call
time
the
to
next
give raises
three.
to anybody.
Clara Starr, Ilona McGriff, and Jill Yee.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, my name is Jewel Ross. I'm a City College student. I distinctly remember at a May meeting between the City College Board of Trustees and the San Francisco Board of Education, Chancellor Rocha talked about how everyone would have to make sacrifices, including the administrators, for the success of City College. And I just want to ask, in what universe is a raise a sacrifice? In the meantime, the International Counseling Department has been dissolved during a time when anti-immigrant sentiment in this country and in the Bay Area is skyrocketing. We have white nationalists trying to infiltrate our classrooms, telling our teachers that they are not qualified to teach because of their ethnicity, and you dissolve a support center for immigrants? Where are the priorities? How is that helping students, the most vulnerable members of our community, that the success of our college depends on, that the diversity of our college and our city depends on? Why is that not the priority? Why is not helping the most vulnerable the
Thank you.
priority?
Thank you. So, Ms. Clara, before you start, I'm just going to call the last three. Are there any other public comment cards? Okay, these are the last three. Greg Keach, Marcus Cruz, and Susan Beckman. And then after that, sorry, then Ilona McGriff and Jill Yee.
Okay, I'm sorry that this issue has become so divisive. I've been at the college a very, very long time, starting out as faculty and an administrator. And I've watched us celebrate when other employment groups have received a raise. And I can tell you that I have never, ever experienced none of the other groups appreciating administrators getting a raise. I feel like if it's COLA, it's fine for them to have that. But if it's any kind of adjustment in the work that they do, it's always controversial. And the administrative group, we've tried to diversify that group. We've been recruiting over and over again because people leave. I get to see almost 95% of everybody's salary. And I can tell you that some people come in with very high salaries and some administrators have come in with very low salaries and have complained about it. It's been an issue. If you really want to attract high qualified administrators, you need to pay them. The same with faculty and definitely the same with classified. But all groups should be respected and should have the opportunity to be paid fairly.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Greg Keach, the chair of the ESL department. I wanted to look at things a little chronologically. Last spring, you told us that we were going to have to cut our coordination, and in a lot of other departments, that they would have to cut their non-instructional budgets. So we lost 60% of our coordination in ESL. We are having a really hard time. We're crippled. Our coordinators have already used 50% of their time, and we're in week 5. In the summer, then you cut classes. And now there's a big fat raise. So it's really not only about money, it's about values. Does this college value what faculty members do in order to serve students on the ground, and all of these everyday things that coordinators do, and all of the other non-instructional folks do in other departments? Or is that not something that the college can understand or value? I didn't even get the impression that people understood what coordinators do when we talked many times last semester.
Thank you.
My name is Marcos. Like everybody has said, it seems that this is about priorities and values for the college, right? It's not that we don't think that somebody should, administrate the college. We believe that that work should be done. But it doesn't seem like this administration knows how to do that very well, because we keep cutting classes and losing people and not growing the college when we have a free city program. Where was the press release when that MOU got approved? Where was all that? I mean, the students are doing the job of a lot of the administrative positions, and your raises before the raise, your salaries before the raises were higher than a lot of faculty, and especially like all part-timers. And we have a majority of part-timers here in the college. So it just seems like you already were getting paid enough. And it's not our fault that the job market is, not, that administrators think that they should be paid 3 times what most people in the college get paid. That's not our fault, and you should not put that burden on us and cut classes to make that happen. Thanks.
Thank you.
So I was kind of thinking of what people had been saying before about, having to volunteer their time to fill in for people we're missing, or, about the administration not making sacrifices. But when you have administrators doing the job of 2 and 3 people, I would have to feel that in some way they're sacrificing their health, they're sacrificing their time with their family. And if someone said to you, as a faculty or as a classified, you need to do 2 or 3 times the work you're doing now, and you don't get any more money for it. So
Please let her speak.
Let her speak, because she went to the class.
So I would- Thank you. So I would just sort of consider the amount of work that they're doing, and it's not work that you could just put anybody in. A lot of these people have an incredible amount of experience, and if we lost them, that would make things even worse at the college. So the strength is in keeping trained people and giving them a reason to stay.
Thank you, Susan.
And to work their butts off for us.
Thank you. Ilona McGriff and Jill Yee.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Ilona McGriff. I serve as a co-chair for the Administrators Association Executive Council. So I wanted to say that in recent days, there's been so much conversation about whether or not the administrators should have pay increases. We've been really, really patient. We haven't forced the issue. We said, what, everybody else can go ahead and get their pay raises. We'll wait. And while we're waiting, we'll take on the work of our 19 absent fellow administrators. We will say yes to the year-round work schedule, say yes to the addition of responsibility, say yes to midnight meetings, yes to the unprecedented heavy lift that's being asked of us not only by this college but by the state. We're having to do unprecedented changes in terms of how we administer the college. And indeed, all of this is coming on the heels of the heavy lift that we all just went through with accreditation. So I just think that if you're going to be public about our salaries and have such an outrage about that, then everybody's salary needs to be re-reviewed, go through the analysis if that's the recommendation.
Thank you.
Everybody's.
Thank you. Before Ms. Yee speaks, if folks are in the audience that are seated, if you're willing to, it looks like we have some elders in the back that could also use some seats, if you would be willing to cede your seat to them. Thank you. Let's give them just 30 seconds to move around. Thank you so much for doing that. Ms. Yee.
I'm Jill Yee. I'm co-chair of AAEC. Administrators are at-will employees. We are unrepresented. We greatly appreciate that Chancellor Rocha took the initiative on our behalf to direct HR to take a historical view of administrative salaries, analyzing the cumulative effects of furloughs, pay cuts, years without salary or step increases, working 40 to 60-hour weeks year-round. In that context, the proposed salary structure is not unreasonable. Raises for administrators are long overdue. We have patiently waited for our turn. If not now, when? At the end of the day, we are all on the same team. We have a shared vision for our students and our college. That vision calls for pay equity even for administrators. Thank you.
Thank you. Closing public comment now. And we have a motion on the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we have the motion on the floor?
Yes. So let me just say a few things. I'm going to vote in favor of this motion. I think having someone outside look at the proposed salary hikes is a good way to go to get another independent opinion on it. I think they should look at the whole situation. They should look at look at the budget that as we passed it, what we can afford, they should recognize the staffing cuts that we've done. They should recognize that we've had to let go of a lot of part-time teachers, but also that we've had to let go a lot of classified workers throughout the years. Since the recession actually is when we started letting go of classified workers, and I think that is still at a very serious understaffed level that affects our students in a direct way, because a lot of our classified workers directly serve our students with contact with students, and the rest of the classified workers indirectly serve our students. So that needs to be taken into account, and also the reductions in administrators. We have, we've been letting go of part-time teachers, but we've let go of a lot of administrators as well, and what the effect is on the rest of the administrators. So I think this has to be looked at holistically, and I think an independent opinion on this is a good idea.
Thank you.
So yeah, I will. If you ask me for a vote.
Yep.
Okay, I vote aye.
Thank you. Okay, well, I'm voting aye as well. But I want to thank everyone. I know that this was a challenging situation, but just like you just did, when folks from our community walked into the room and their needs were great, people gave up a seat so that other people could sit down. That is San Francisco City College. That is what we do. So the thing that I want to make really clear is that we cannot allow this issue to actually divide us into these groups. We have to be a team for this college to be able to make it through what is a really challenging financial landscape. That's the bottom line. So this is about putting together a process that is fair, that's independent, and that we can rely on with confidence. That is what we are trying to do. That is what this recommendation is designed to do. So thank you for your vote. We're going to go ahead and move that recommendation forward to the full board, and then let's get to item 2.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, of course.
I think part of the reason that we're in the situation we are now and that everyone is here, the board, the board's process really on this is kind of unclear. And we have a pretty clear process for our union, for raises for unions. There are set steps that we go through that are codified. But I think for administrator raises, we don't really have a clear path, a clear process that's laid out. So I'm hoping that we can come up, that out of this, we will have at the end of it a process that we can use in the future.
Yeah.
That future boards and our board can use to just follow it, and then there won't be any
Agreed.
problems.
Something that is very, very clear. That,
Clear
for
and
example,
easy to follow,
Well,
yeah.
and that's tied to raises or salary scales for the other, classifications on campus,
Perhaps.
right? But anyways, that's something for hopefully that the policy committee will take up.
Hi, my name is Jess. I am a student at City College of San Francisco. I have been here since January of 2018 through the Free City program, and I'm here to defend the educational opportunities of all students and future residents and current residents and homeless people and all those that need that education to take their next step in life, whether it's going to transfer to a school or getting a certificate or to get a trades degree. And I'm here because I have a lot of questions about how the current administration under Chancellor Mark Rocha and how he's spending the money for the school and how they think it's okay to even ask for any administrative raises when there has been cuts after cuts, semester after semester. Library hours have been cut severely. Student equity resources like the Queer Resource Center and the Women's Resource Center have been cut. I just heard that they took equity funding out of this pool to fund chemistry, which does not make sense to me. There are bathrooms that have not been fixed for over a year and a half in creative arts. Students have stopped reporting vandalism for gender-neutral bathrooms. I myself fought for the first gender-neutral bathroom in Science Hall in the basement. How many decades have women started taking chemistry classes, geology classes, material science classes, machine shop, in which I have took, and I have to walk 147 steps compared to 36 steps of my male counterparts, and people don't think about how the school needs to be modernized for San Franciscans. If businesses outside in our area are thinking about equity, thinking about hiring practices, transparency of data, and our school is not, then how do you expect to actually fix the problems that are plaguing San Franciscans today?
Well, this has been brought up at the board before, that the toilets, the bathrooms are not being properly cared for.
Yes,
they laid off the maintenance.
Yes, there's only one-
Mark Rocha, the chancellor, and the board have known about this. Why are they not taking care of it?
Because they are probably trying to push for their $800 million bond that Alex Randolph is pushing so hard for, and he said, oh, I hope you campaign with us to help fix facilities. But I'm like, if you're purposely trying not to hire the facilities people, if I have a student have to go into facilities management program and I find out there's over 40,000 ticketed items to be fixed on 7 campuses, and that was 2018 when my air compressor went down and I had to complain, how can you pass all these students in metal arts, fabrication, if we can't even use a power tool? And I have to go in and someone tells me they don't even prioritize any of those fixes that need to happen. There are systemic issues because people are not attending to students' needs. They rather make the facilities into a more broken, disheveled, neglected building so they can take a picture, so they can ask for money from the city of San Francisco and from the state, and it's not fair to current students.
You think this is a scam? This is a sham that's going on?
I think it's a abuse, it's neglect on students. I think it's greed. I think people are motivated by personal political agendas to be elected into the next Board of Supervisors for the city. And unfortunately, San Francisco being a big city it is, this is the local city college that people test their political viability. And it's a shame that students like myself have to, with our educational opportunity, have to sacrifice our well-being, our time, our jobs to help fix the school and to bring this to light. It is not fair to know that several Board of Trustees are aides for city supervisors.
Which ones?
Tom Temprano is Raphael Mendelman's aide. I know Ivy Lee works in City Hall in some capacity. So is Alex Randolph. And then there's other people with ties to political powerhouses, and yet they don't use all of their facilities to help students. Why do students have to look up other educational solutions that other schools have done, like asking for a chef? How many times have the Guardsman, our student award-winning newspaper, have reported issues of several of these same things coming up over and over? Why are students starting Twitter accounts called CCSF Student Says or CCSF Says? Or why are students creating collectives called CCSF Collective to mobilize and organize and fix things? CCSF Collective has been an amazing initiative in the summer, founded by 3 students and 2 teachers to actually address the problems of registration, and they found so many issues that they call it student registration enrollment suppression. Because it is known to all the Board of Trustees members since the beginning of the Banner 9, the whole fiasco, we heard that they're actually suing the app company that's actually, building the thing that is so broken. Why do we students have to sit for hours, for 2 weeks before school starts and see all the holes where people have not been serviced? This is a self-service school that people aren't actually getting served.
And other schools, Kanata College, many other schools.
Oh my gosh, I have to say, I never went to Laney College until recently, and I checked out their machine shop program and their wood technology program. It is night and day. It is not fair to assume that students should go across the bay to get their educational opportunities, because how much does it cost to go on BART? How much for the average young person or older person, just a person in general, to commute? Going across the bridge is more than $6 for your, the toll. It is gas, it is time, it is BART. BART is expensive. It would be $20 per day that I would have to go and, do these things.
And they have all the facilities there. They could have them here. Yes. San Francisco City College is a great city college. Yes. It should be a great city college.
It's a great city college. And I watched The Last Black Man in San Francisco. A few students that went to City College actually as participants and in the movie. And it's incredible to watch that movie in San Francisco at the Roxy and hear discussions after the film. And one of the things they said that struck me so much, you can't hate San Francisco unless you love it. I'm only hating on CCSF because I've seen mismanagement, but I love it greatly. I have complaints about some of the courses I've taken and some of the professors, but I'm here standing to defend every single thing I've loved and felt empowered by the school, by CCSF floristry, by CCSF metal arts, by the trades classes that I have greatly, greatly benefited from, and learned that my neighbors all have to take these classes because of necessity. People cannot sell their homes without fixing their own cabinets because they can't even hire a contractor. Like, these are situations we are in now, and I don't trust any board member or any official that only walks in my campus for less than 10 minutes and claim they know everything firsthand. I have gone to school last year, 9 classes each semester to save my teachers' healthcare insurance, and I've seen way too much to allow this from happening because students are suffering, teachers are suffering under this Chancellor Rocha's administration. There's only but divisiveness and things that remind me of Betsy DeVos.